you don't necessarily have to care as much about certain positioning the way like Samus will need that, whereas a good Fox move could get you out of a lot of situations. Or Samus doesn't have that, so I have to focus on where I'm at. So sometimes I'll notice that players that are playing like top tiers, they're not paying enough attention to their positioning and they're losing because of that. You know, that's something that I'll end up noticing from my perspective.
Interesting. So it's almost like you have a more macro, like strategic.
Yeah. If you ask me about how a Fox did something, I don't know a goddamn thing. I like literally can't tell you the tech behind it. But I can tell you about, the macro stuff is kind of the way I look at the game.
Yeah, which is somewhat important in this matchup, right? Because you end up off stage versus Marth, and that's the sort of thing that can happen. And Stango is one of those players that I've learned quite a bit from in a few different ways. And I think Stango has the sort of micro play and the ability to adapt to opponents subconsciously. Something that
very smart player.
Something he's talked about a lot. And the macro stuff is sort of what I think he thinks about during the game.
I mean, in my time playing Stango, that's exactly how I felt about him as a player.
And yeah, I mean, CakeAssault is strong, but it could be a 4-stock.
Very rough.
Okay, tried the dash dance grab. You know, I like when a Fox, even when you're down 4 stocks to 1, a Fox's tendency, or Space's tendency, is like spot dodge or something. Decide, like, I'm not going to do that. Let me do some empty movement out of shield, so at least I have a fighting chance. Stango once told me that sometimes in those situations, if you're in shield, that's already kind of a loss. Because you're on
defense?
On defense against Marth in particular, because Marth will not be in a position to get Shrine out of shielded, which is Fox's main option out of shield, right? And so you have to make a big commitment, like forward drill out of shield or something, which maybe hits, but down 4 stocks to 1, like you can't be risking taking a forward air that knocks you off stage.
Right. And another quick stock from Stango to start off the second game. CakeAssault going to have to reevaluate how to get their bearings.
Yeah, and I think part of it is CakeAssault already this game is doing a little better at like feinting coming in, right? Because I think Stango maybe kind of noticed in the first game that most of the approaches, most of the things that looked like approaches actually ended up being approaches for CakeAssault, and then would take advantage, and that was the stock basically. But we've seen like CakeAssault a couple times will like go up on the platform, the dash dance lasts like a beat longer.
Yeah.
And so it'll put some doubt in Stango. Maybe he'll do an extra dash dance or whiff something.
Yeah. Which is what you got to do sometimes is you got to keep them honest, right? You got to have them worried about too many things, and that's when your opponents start messing up.
Yeah, it's especially important against Marth. As Fox, you kind of have to you can't engage first. You have to make them engage, but you also can't be in the spot where when they engage first, you get hit. So, you know, not a bad matchup necessarily, but a tricky one in that way. That's very tricky. That's an important short. Yeah, that's the thing is that drill out of shield one. If you do like reverse wave shine out of shield, you might be able to punish it, but anything else is too slow.
Defensively, Stango has just been looking really good.
Yeah. Forward air hits CakeAssault back to the ledge.
Okay, let's see this punish. Missed opportunity there.
Okay, air to cover the platform is a good idea. It's like Marth's version of an active hitbox. So when you're covering multiple tech options, that's definitely the move. Yeah, Stango drifting with the forward air. That's another thing that's really important for Marth. A lot of them will just like autopilot forward air timings. Players like Stango do not. They have the mix of the early ones to catch people early and the late ones to keep themselves safe. And you just have to be ready the whole time. Stango is watching your positioning. Like that nair kind of only came because CakeAssault was posturing, right, that he was going to come forward.
Yeah, you can see how willing Stango is to just hold his ground and kind of react to the approaches. And the punish game is so strong that he just converts whenever you overcommit. So. Yeah, Stango looked very good.
Yeah, sometimes I forget because I don't see Stango as much as I used to. Not only a stronger player than I remember, but always good versus Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Shout-outs to R2D-Lu, famous in the Philadelphia scene for...
Yeah, wait, what happened?
We used to, so in Philadelphia, we had this great thing where there was bi-weeklies, but there were 2, and they would be on opposite weeks. So every Saturday we had a tournament.
Okay.
Stango and R2D-Lu went a lot. I hope he's not watching. And there used to be this thing everyone would say, this is the day. And like if it was at a chalkboard, they put up the number of how many times Stango's beaten R2D-Lu in a row. And it was like, you know, 30-something in a row.
No, yeah, but then everybody, the joke would be, this is the day. Was it ever the day?
I don't think so. But it always looked possible because R2D-Lu was such a good player too. Maybe watching. So shout outs David if you're watching. At one point we were close in skill, and then I was eclipsed.
That is a very good play.
Hella good, yeah.
I heard he was recently hanging out with some friends in Southern California.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where he is in the world today. Somewhere in the world of software, he's in computer science or computer engineering.
You mean he didn't dedicate his life to playing Melee?
I understand rock climbing is a big thing for him.
Yes. That's the retired from Melee pipeline.
Yeah, you have to find something else that can break your hands.
Okay.
Is this Mango
Looks like we
versus...
we got Mango coming up. Okay.
Versus Young Waff.
Oh, versus Brandon?
Yeah.
Waff versus Mango. That's a matchup that happened. It's crazy.
There's a lot of people who are just commentators. I got to tell you, Brandon's not just a commentator. He's a good player.
Not.
He's so good.
Absolutely.
When I used to study very seriously, I found him playing like Fox versus Puff, and I'm like, oh, this is the person I want to study. Like he knows his stuff.
Yeah.